What's up, fam? First video blog, log, whatever. And we are in the Gold Coast, in between mahi, squeezing a little catch up at the one and only Wickedbodz. And if you don't know, you shouldn't be watching boxing, but we're stopping in to see the brother, Mark. Not just owner of this gym, but trainer of the one and only Jai Opetaia, Mr. Umbok. Not sure if he's here today, but definitely catching up with Mark. We are avid bulldog lovers, and we talked about doing a bit of an interview. Obviously, Jai's fighting soon, so good timing. So we're just cruising down, see what the goal is. Chick. The first interview with all my new gear. To be with my
is that really?
Yeah,
yeah, good.
The very first. I'm here with the brother Mark down at Wickedbodz. Beautiful drive down from the sunny coast. Before we start, brother, thank you for your time.
No problem. It's a pleasure, though. Yeah.
This brother is one of the few very hospitable coaches that I work with, and I always appreciate it. So, before we jump into it, we had a little chat. But how are you, the missus? The Bulldog.
Good, bro. Good. Bulldog's good. He's hard work, but he's good.
We share Bulldog parenting.
And unless you have one, you don't understand.
Don't understand. There'll be a Bulldog watcher watching this guy.
Yeah, I understand.
I understand. You've had a few trips, bro, before we jump into everything that we wanted to chat about. How was the trip to Thailand? That was the most.
Yeah, it was bad.
That was the most FOMO I've been watching you and Jai and James.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. You know, we at the start of our camps, we usually do what we call a hell week, but it's 2 weeks for sort of 14 days where we just get right into the trenches and set the scene for the camp to come with his conditioning stuff. We decided to get over there with less distractions and give it a crack. So we had 16 days straight. I think we've done 36 sessions in 16 days or something like that. But it was, it was great. Yeah, it was really good. It was awesome. It was a good, it was a good start. Yeah,
and I see your babysitting skills were top notch for Lila.
It's just part of it, bro. You know, like she's just part of the family, you know.
The queen.
It is what it is, you know. So.
Sure. And then, without mentioning, can't snub the brother, but old Honey Man got a little sweet knockout over there too.
Yeah, that was good because that set it up. So we were going to go when we knew we were going to go over there and do some training, and James was fighting that weekend, so we just booted off over there and then went from there over. But yeah, he's going good and he's going for a world title this weekend, so fingers crossed.
Fighting the Kiwi. Unfortunately, I'm back in the Aussie on this one. Apologies, my brother. Obviously, there's some hot news with Jai changing the dates, moving to the next fight. We'll get into that. But I wanted to quickly recap a few things from the last fight. There's a bit of a clip going around. Always clips going around. But it was nice to see you in one, and it G'd me up. Just before Jai was coming out, you guys were getting in that mindset, I guess, and just hanging out for the walkout.
I think that was a breeders'
one. Was it the breeders' one?
Yeah.
I could see you G'ing him up. I don't know what you were saying, but whatever you were saying was G'ing me up. And seeing Jai G'd up and everybody yelling out. How are those moments before, Jai's about to enter out and you guys as a team are sort of like, these are our last moments before we go to war?
Yeah.
Is it always like that?
They're special, yeah. They are. They always like that, and sort of every fight sort of has its own little different purpose but no, they, like I was never brought up religious, and I'm not religious. But even our prayer, we have a prayer before we walk out, and it's every camp's different. Me being the strength and conditioning trainer, and then I don't have anything to do with the boxing side of it, but so I've got to look after his injuries and stuff like that. And every camp there's something that no one knows about, So we've got through injuries or we've got through some hurdles, and when we get there on fight night, it always makes it that little bit more special when we're here now, we've made it. And Jai and I always have sort of analogy for the 8 or so fights that I've had with him, that we treat our camp like we're building a house. So when we start the camp, we build the foundations. We get our muscle endurance and our cardio endurance up, and then we change phases. So when you're putting the frame up, we move into his strength stuff and his speed stuff, and we go through. And on the night of the fight, we move into the house. So usually I'm just playing with his frequency a little bit, before we move out, saying that this guy is trying to take your house, the house that you've just spent the last 8 or 10 weeks, all those hours we put into building this house. This guy's going to try and take your family's house, So he fights for his family, and
I'm sitting there.
he fights for his family, So just play with that frequency a little bit, and watch him go and do his thing. I think the most I've sort of twisted a little bit was against Thompson, but that was for different reasons, and we all seen the outcome of that. So it doesn't take much, by the way, but
he came out fired up for that.
Yeah, but our 2 words for the last few years, always on fight day, is patience and composure. And we drum that patience and composure all the time, and so even though he's sort of wound up like that, he's still got his smarts about him.
Yeah, that's the balance, eh?
Yeah.
The last fight with obviously Dave, there was a lot of, I guess, not pressure, but there was a lot of expectations and hype around the last minute replacement. Dave coming in. Dave himself is a specimen physically, but obviously Jai showed these levels to it. It's funny watching Jai come from such a skillful, technical stoppage of Jack Massey,
Yeah.
and to come in as this let the dog out, show his strength and resilience, and the dog fight in him in that last fight. When you see that as a strength and conditioning coach, what parts are you watching in the fight? Are you thinking this is all the foundation we've built around his strength?
He's prepared for my side of it. As I said, I don't have anything to do with the boxing side of it. It used to be coach, now his dad, and his dad knows him better than anyone. So he come for my side of it. I just got to make sure he's ready in every threshold. Wherever his muscle endurance is up to scratch, so he can make the 12 rounds, that his speed's up to strength, that his explosive power. I just got to make sure in the camps that he's okay for anything. So from my perspective, we have a camp saying we must have a full bank when we walk to the ring. So during camps we have deposits and withdrawals. We've got to make sure that we have heaps less withdrawals and heaps more deposits. So when we walk to the ring, we know we've got a full bank. So for me, that side of it's always okay. No matter what stage he gets to in the fight, I watch this fight, I watch the last fight, and then we learn from it and we try and go from there. That was a weird one because none of us expected him to come out like that. I don't think there's too many people crazy enough in the world to come out and try and take him into a dogfight, because if there's one place that he wants to be, that's in a dogfight. So,
it's like Christmas came.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's
hard enough for his dad to stop him from doing that, inspiring and stuff like that. But that's where it's in Jai's blood. That's where he wants to be. But they come back to the corner and he said, "Fuck, this cunt wants a dogfight." And his dad said, "Well, fuck, he wants a dogfight. Give him a dogfight." So it was sort of,
like you said, he could go there because he had that bank full, right?
Hey, he could go wherever. Yeah, he could have sat back and boxed and boxed 12 rounds with him if he wanted to as well. But he, once his dad let him off the chain, it was a happy place.
Yeah, he looked happy in the exchanges. Now, as a strength and conditioning coach in this world, and I've been a fan of boxing for a long time, before I could even, throw a punch. And I always believed, probably only up until the last 3 or 4 years, that, running was like the foundation, and all the skill and sparring was on top of that. Now, obviously, we had a little chat, so this is your world, but as someone who's actually qualified and understands sports science, not just working with Jai, but as a whole, that's your profession. How was it working in boxing and being around other coaches or strength and conditioning? Where do you see, I guess, gaps in the sport, and where do you see that you guys take advantage of that with your expertise?
With me, 29 years I've been doing it and studied it, but it's evolved so much. The science has evolved, technology has evolved. Therefore, the more that technology evolves and science evolves, we learn more about the body. And whether it's a boxer or a jockey or a soccer player or a tennis player, my job is to break it down in human movement and break down their sport and break down where they need to be strong, where they need to be fast, whether they need to cover muscle endurance or only muscle power and aerobics. So I break it down and try and find you know, the ways to get the most out of all those thresholds to have him be the best boxer he can. It's changed so much. It's like in rugby league, when I used to play many years ago, we used to train as a team. So when they done 10K runs, 15K runs, we all ran together, front rowers, wingers, centers. Then as technology evolved, they started to put GPS trackers on people. And then they realized that front rowers only sprint over 10 meters and they only covered a K a game. But a winger and a center would cover 5Ks, example, a game. So therefore they started individualizing everyone's training, because they knew they didn't have to take themselves over those distances that they weren't required to go over. So now if you go and see a rugby league team, the front rowers train as front rowers, the back rowers train as back rowers, the halfbacks train. It's all sport specific, because science has allowed us to do that and see it involved. So we cover every threshold with him, you know, whether it's his endurance at the start of the camps, and then, you know, his muscle power at the start of the camps, and then we move into the closer to the fight, we move into all his speed stuff. So the misconception with you know, with boxers or athletes that do weights is a lot of people don't understand what weights are. You know, in weights we use weights for mobility, stability, speed, power, muscle growth, strength.
So many.
There's a million ways. Like ballerinas would do weights, just a different type of weights. You know? So, but we do zero hypertrophy weights for the listeners that hear weights, you know. But the first time I trained Joe, he said, "Oh, I don't really want to do any weights because I don't want to put on weight."
This guy thinks he's automatic, Mr. Olympia.
But he was, you know, and he's 100 and, you know, and he'd done no weights in, and he was 108 kilos or 110 kilos or something, you know. But then we introduced a lot of specific weights into his system, and we do a lot of weights now, but it's for specifics, you know. And now, you know, you have a look at him now, but it's a matter of putting it all together is the biggest thing.
And a lot of, I mean, it's probably not something that you would say, but I would notice, even just from being in the media around it, that sometimes, unfortunately, the fighters will trust, you know, the strength and conditioning coach has the knowledge behind what they're doing. But I don't know, you've probably seen it, but I've definitely seen where the coach doesn't know what the hell they're doing. So it's an attempt at, you know, trying to do the right thing, but they're probably not ticking the right boxes with the strength and conditioning, especially when it comes to the weight side of it.
I think the internet's a problem now.
Yeah.
Because,
oh my God, true.
Because you know, you do have to understand it. And if you speak to people that don't understand it, it's not that they're dumb or stupid, but they don't understand it. They don't understand it. And the internet's a big problem now. So some people see an athlete, a famous athlete, doing one exercise and another exercise, so they think that that's what they have to do. But they don't understand why they were doing that. You know? Everyone is different. Jai is an individual athlete that I train Jai for Jai, not to try and train Jai for like Mike Tyson or Jai like Bivol, or train like Jai's Jai. Yeah. So his movement, his size, his ability is different to everyone else. You know? So it just comes down to specifics, Sam. But it you know, it doesn't mean that it's just education, I think.
Yeah, you know? For sure. And as Jai is an athlete, your athlete, what are some of the things that he really excels at when it comes to, you know, coaching and training him, and some of the things that you've worked on with him to improve?
Well, we've worked on a lot, you know, since the 5 years we've been together. You know, he now is a professional athlete now. You know, he's not just a boxer. You know? So we worked a lot on his nutrition, which he didn't really concentrate on that much, which made it a massive difference. You know, he used to eat watermelon for 2 weeks and cut 10 kilos the fight week, and at a domestic level you can get away with all that stuff. You know,
people still doing that.
Well, yeah, there is, but at a domestic level you get away with it. When you're fighting the best fighters in the world that have their own nutritionists and their own mindset coaches and their own, you know, power coaches, strength and conditioning coaches, boxing coaches. Some people have 10 people in a team. If you think that you're going to go and do what they used to do 10, 15 years ago against these people that are equivalent or close to your skill set ability, then you're not going to win. You know? You got to be training like a world-class athlete if you're going to try and take on the world. But so we concentrated on that a lot. You know, we introduced a lot of resistance training into his program. You know, we done a lot of work on some mindset stuff, and I didn't have to change him. He is who he is. He's just tweaking it a little bit, you know. But
that's what a proper coach does, right?
Yeah.
They take a great athlete. They just do tweaks.
I didn't change. You know, I get messages and stuff all the time about how different he's become since we started training together from people from everywhere. You know, he's got a lot of big fan base, but yeah, I haven't changed anything that he's done other than just his training. You know,
crazy the impact that makes.
Yeah, and we tried to get I tried to get some structure, and he just had to live like a professional athlete than just a boxer.
Talk to me about how you build that trust with Joy, because I can speak on this. A lot of Polynesian athletes, they can be a little bit hard-headed or stubborn, more out of a pride thing, I think, because for us as people, if someone tells us you're not doing something right, our automatic defense is, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Even at this level, right? So understandably, I'm not saying that's with Joy, but some people, they need that trust and relationship with a coach to, you know, confide in them. And
I think probably he's the same as that. You know, I think he's. But I know Joy's had some fantastic, you know, from what I've heard, some really good strength and conditioning coaches in the past as well. And why I don't think he was probably ready then to really listen, you know. And I think with me, it wasn't me trying to sell me to him, because he just half believed in me, and then seen the results out of that, and then it grew. But actions speak louder than words. Results speak louder than words. You know, like you only have to see sort of what we've achieved in that area together. It's pretty hard to argue that we're doing the wrong thing. You know, like and then the trust come from there. But Joy and I got a fantastic relationship, and it's all built on trust. You know, it's the same as any relationship, whether it's business, relationship, anything. It has to be on trust. Some of the injuries that we've come through together, that rib injury before Breedis' fight, the doctors told him he had to sit on the couch for 12 weeks, you know, and not do anything. And one of my clients is a doctor, heard that Jai done it, and he said, "Oh, bring him in the hospital tomorrow, we'll operate on him." I said, "Well, what are you going to do?" He goes, "I don't know, we've never done the operation before." So they flew a clamp up and clamped him, and they said, "Well, absolutely no chance." And they finished operation, and there was a doctor in America and a doctor here, and they were talking to me, and I said, "Where do I go from here?" And they said, "Fuck if I know, we've never even done this operation before. That's up to you, the rehab stuff. It may work, it may not work." And he had to just trust me 100%. But like, you know, for 4 weeks I just didn't sleep, so I had to go back and just work out every muscle group that's not going to engage that much, because we had no time. We had 9 weeks. And we won a world title and beat Breedis the first time in 9 weeks. So they're the things that. It was a special thing for me, and that's why that fight will always be special, because we should never, ever, ever have been there.
Wow.
No one said that we could do it, whether it was doctors, physios. You know, we had to go and see another physio who's supposed to be one of the best physios on the coast, and we were already riding assault bikes and starting a movement, you know, like three weeks in. 3 weeks in, and I didn't have time to follow the textbook.
Yep.
I just had to follow my own knowledge, and we went down and seen him anyway, and he's given us some stretches, and Jai, before we walked in, he goes, "Fucking don't say a word, just shut up, let's just get this done and walk out," you know. So we walked in and we were having a bit of a laugh, and this guy is giving in some stretches and stuff like that, and telling him to blow up a balloon and stuff like that, and telling us to go away and do some stretches for a little while. Like we were already into assault bikes and like ski ergs and stuff, because I had no time, you know. I just had to work on pure knowledge, back myself. But that was really special, that, because he just had to trust me, you know. And to be honest, every time he'd done a rep, or every time I pushed it up day to day, I thought, fuck, I'm just going to pop this clamp off and it's gone, you know, and then it's all over. So I had the kid, I felt like I had the pressure of the kid and everything he was doing for his family and his world title and everything under that. So it can be, but they're things that people never see. You know, it's not like Joe walks into a gym with me for 45 minutes and walks out and then that's it.
No, there's a lot.
There's a lot. So the relationships come from trust.
That's a big trust builder right there.
It has, and it's and you have to have that. You have to back it, and he understands my ability now, and he doesn't question anything anymore. So.
That's so cool, and it's so great to hear that, because when people see that win, to them it's like, cool, we won a world title, overcame the broken jaw, right? They don't know.
The jaw meant the jaw was nothing to me compared to the ribs. You know, no one obviously still don't know, but the ribs is a fascinating story. But it's when Jai broke his jaw and finished the fight with the jaw, it just doesn't surprise me at all. You know, like the media and stuff like, oh, can you believe he fought with a broken jaw? I'm like, no, fuck it. You'd have to shoot him to get him out of there. You know?
Well, to the normal person though. You know, who's never...
Of course, 100%. It's like, not normal.
If I had toothache, I'd call him
It's
sick.
not normal.
People, you know?
The referee said, the doctor, someone asked the doctor at the back after the fight, is it common to break the other side of the jaw when one side was broken? And he said, I'm not sure, because I've never known anyone, you know, stupid enough to keep fighting once they're broken the first side.
He's been struggling thinking about his rib anyways. He's like,
well, people say that you should have stopped the fight or whatever, but you know, Jai's a different beast. You're not going to do that. Yeah. It was quite funny because when we finally worked out, I went to take his mouth guard out and he shook his head, and this was in the 10th. And he shook his head and I said, really? And he sort of nodded his head. I went, fuck. And then he likes a lot of water on his head in between rounds. He always has. And so I have a lot of water, so we make a lot of mess. And I just said to Kerry, Jai's assistant coach, grab a towel, Kez. And Jai just turns, looks at me and goes, fuck. And he couldn't talk because his mouth's hanging on. But he thought I meant grab a towel and throw it in.
He's like, oh,
yeah, exactly. I was like, relax, I'm just wiping the water up. So he nearly killed me with his eyes, you know, straight away. He just heard grab the towel.
He's like,
he's like, don't you fucking dare. But,
I love those stories, brother. That's part of the journey, though, right?
Yeah,
you know,
it is.
If you're a real fan of boxing, relationships really build the story behind the fighters. You know,
there's so much to them. You know? There's so much more than what people see.
So much more.
You know, people think they come in and hit pads and go out and come in and do some sparring and go out, and there's nothing else to it. You know. So much. There's your weight cuts, and then there's there's rehabs, and there's niggles, and then there's things that need to be worked on, and then there's just so much to it by the time they get to the ring.
That you are running a full-time gym business. Like I think people don't piece together. You're not just sitting around on your hands going, okay, when Joe needs me, then I'll work. You're like running a business. You have your family. Yeah. Jai's having a kid. That time, like
that time, yeah.
So many turning wheels, and for you guys to balance that out and go through everything.
My wife is amazing. You know, she has a great relationship with Jai, and we have a great relationship with Jai's wife and all his sisters and stuff. We're just in there training the second guy. But he becomes priority now. Obviously, we've come this far. Yep. He becomes priority when it's time into the camp. So, we've been to Saudi. I've been to Saudi like 6 times or something like that. Last 2 years, Jai's been 8 times or something like that. So, and sometimes we get 24 hours notice. You know, the sheikh says go. So you know, we go. You know, so it was. It's a team. You know, it's a team. With his strength and conditioning stuff, it's not just me. You know. It's you know, my wife and there's other people play a big part in it as well.
Well, he needs that, right? Like every fighter does. They need the support system. Just allows them to perform at their highest.
If you're at the top of your game like Jai is, then he doesn't need to think about anything but training and fighting. We try and look after all his food in his camps. They say a happy fighter is a good fighter, you know, and by that he doesn't need any outside noise, any drama, anything, and that can be detrimental to him when he comes to fight. So everyone works around behind the scenes to try and make it. Every time he comes in here, it's like a family. He gets treated exactly the same in our gym. people have been training with him since he couldn't even afford to buy himself a pair of shoes, you know. So everyone respects him so much, you know, but they just leave him to it, and he loves that, and he loves getting into the group classes and training, and we just try and as a gym and a facility, we just try and make him completely normal and as relaxed as he can, so he can concentrate on the job.
Doing a great job with it. Your whole team is. Quickly before we move into this last chat about the camp that you're in now, Wickedbodz, if you're not following it, obviously you guys do some amazing things with your members, and like you said, Jai rubs shoulders with these guys all the time. How's the gym going? Is there some fun member fight nights coming up? Is there some fun activities
we have
up? I try
actually.
to keep an eye on all everything
We
that's going on.
so 20 and a half years I've had the business now. I started in end of 2004 across the road there in a little 60 square annex. But we don't do any paid marketing or advertising. You know, we never have. It's just organically grown over the last 20 and a half years. And I think just trying to be a good person is the biggest part. People always say, "Oh, you survived so long," but we do care, and we sort of live for the business. And I literally have lived for this industry since I was 16. You know, so it's been 29 years, and been lucky enough to work overseas and study overseas, and for 4 years. But no, the gym is without the people, there's no gym. So Wickedbodz is a good machine now. It's a strong machine, and it's just a happy place to come for people more than anything.
Always up and down, yeah. It's good vibes. This is a camp that you guys, I guess, have just recollected timeframes. They changed. What's at this end of a camp from your side with Joy? Because you spoke about building blocks, right? So
sort of just we had a reset, you know. Yeah. So we've sort of just had a reset. Like we started in Thailand, expecting to be coming here. So we've sort of the first 2 weeks of his camp, he does a lot of he does a lot of strength and conditioning stuff. Yep. Before he moves into a lot of his boxing stuff, but we had that over there, and then we come back and there's a little gap. Then we had a few niggles and we pushed it back 3 weeks. So sort of just another reset, you know. So we sort of just make sure we get those niggles right, get that core fitness and endurance back up again, and then he'll get back to normal. Hopefully next week, and he'll be back ripping in with his old man boxing, and then we'll just sort of just have a bit of a reset when something like this comes. That's why we don't like to get too out of condition, because when these things happen, it's okay, you know. Yeah, we can get through it. We've already started filling the bank up. It's not empty, you know. You don't want to be. If you have an empty bank going into these injuries, then it puts you a long way behind. You know? So it's it's just a reset, and we're just back into he's training hard this week and last week, and we'll just get these little niggles right, and then we'll just go from there.
Do you have to hold him back at this early? Is he one of those people who might go too hard if you let him off the leash?
He's just an incredible trainer. He's just an incredible athlete. He's got the strongest mindset I've ever seen of any athlete that I've ever worked with, and I've worked with some pretty cool athletes both here and overseas, and he doesn't question, and hasn't really ever since we built that trust, you know, early on in the piece. He just turns up, just gets told what to do, has never ever not finished something, never questioned, never says how long to go, how many more to go. But that's why he is who he is. He's not taken over the world because he's doing normal shit. You can't train like an amateur boxer and do normal stuff and expect to be abnormal. He's achieving abnormal things in boxing because he does things that others aren't prepared to do. You know, he takes himself, I take him to places, and he has to do the work. He goes to some dark places in training, and then it becomes mental that he knows and believes he's indestructible. And put that together with the skill set and everything that he works on with his old man, it's hard to beat, you know. It's hard to beat when you're ticking all the boxes. You know, it's hard. It's hard to beat with that mentality. You know, he doesn't think he's indestructible and he can never be beaten. He fucking earns everything he's got, and that's a word that we always use, that we started using from the start. I told him, no, you don't deserve, just because you've been to the Olympics when you're 16, just because you started boxing when you were 8, and just because you're a 4th generation boxer, you don't fucking deserve anything. You don't deserve a world title because you've ticked all those boxes. You're gonna have to fucking earn it, and you gotta earn it every day. You can't just turn up and go through the motions and expect to be able to get to where he is today. But every day that kid earns it. It doesn't matter how tired he is or how sick he feels. He turns up, you ask him, how you feeling? He says, fuck, what's the matter? Let's go. You know? Like
I need to start doing that.
And it's a mindset that he has. It's like, what's it matter? It doesn't matter if I'm, well, what's it going to matter if he tells me he's tired?
Yeah, that's true.
Nothing's going to change.
Yeah, nothing's going to change.
So you either do it with a smile on your face, or you whinge, or you kick stones and whinge about it. You know, you've got to do. It's got to be done anyway. So there's no, oh, okay, we'll take it easy today, or you're going to get into a fight and you're struggling and say, oh fuck, don't worry, just take it easy this round. You're not going to be able to do that.
Not at that level.
His mindset is that he knows that no one trains as hard as what he does, and I'll be very surprised if they do. You know? We always make sure that we're doing stuff that other people can't. We don't believe that they'll be able to do it. We say to each other, they're difficult, you know, our difficult is their impossible, you know.
Shit.
So if someone trains with us and they think it's hard, other people can't even do it. If Jai thinks it's hard, other people probably won't be able to do it. Yeah. So when we think something's difficult, it's other people's impossible. They can't even get there, let alone go to the next step further again. You know? It's a lot. But he's a terrific athlete.
It's amazing though, because if you just culminate all that together and everything that you guys do as a team, on top of his own, like you said, he wants to fight. Like he wants to. If you combine that all together, no wonder he's seeing the success that he's seeing with everything that you guys are doing.
You have to get it all right. You know, every part of his team and stuff he has to get it right, because I always say, and I will stick by it, the only time that anyone will compete with Jai is if he's underdone, not fit enough, or he's not mentally right. You know, if he's boxing with his old man, will always be on point. He's been doing it for such a long time. But you can have the best boxing skill set, or the best tennis skill set, or the best any skill set. If you're not fit enough at elite level in every single part, then what's the point of having the skills? You know? You can't execute the skills. You start sitting back on your heels and dropping your hands, and you're too tired to do this, then your skills don't mean fuck all. You know? So you got to have, at the elite level, you get away with it domestically, but not when you're fighting someone that's, you know, equivalent in skill set. You know, it's no coincidence that some of the best athletes, whether it's combat or other in the world, are the fittest athletes. You get Conor McGregor back in the days, he was so fit, he couldn't be beaten. There's no coincidence that when they get rich, they take their foot off the pedal a little bit, they take shortcuts, and then they don't train as hard, and then they start getting, but their skill, you don't lose your skill. You know, you just can't execute it. You know, no one loses their skill. They just not fit enough.
It's like why Floyd stayed undefeated, right? It's like
he was so fit. He never drank, never smoked, and his fitness was incredible to the day he died. You know? To the day he stopped boxing. But it's not only boxing. It's any athlete. You know, usually they start to get beaten when they're not fit enough.
So true, yeah. And the silk sheets thing is so true in combat sports. You know, like there's people that they achieve their goal and then they go.
That's no insult either, because you know, you get someone like Jai now. He fights for his family. His family's everything to him. Now he's got his bub. He's got another reason to fight. He's so hungry to fight, to provide for his family. His goal is so strong. It's still be difficult for him to get up, go to training twice, 3 times a day, stay hungry. It's hard enough then. But when you get to the elite levels, like your UFC, boxing, other athletes, when they're like, you know what, I don't have to do this anymore. I don't have to do this. I've got enough money to never ever have to do anything again if I don't want to, let alone get up and do what I put him through, then go and box with with taps and get put through that. If you didn't have to do that, you can't tell me it's going to be easy to do. You know, so that's where some of them come undone. But Jai is, I think, wired a little bit different. You know, like he actually loves beating people up. Like, and he loves the process.
I was going to say,
he loves the process.
This process
the
of
training. He wants it harder, not easier. There's no easy way up. You know, if something can be done hard, he will do it the hard way. We always say, don't look for the easy option, and he doesn't look for an easy option. So until I see that in him, there's absolutely no problems with me, that I know that he's doing it all for the right reasons.
Tony, who actually does a lot of his content, told me the funniest story that sort of sums up Joe. He was trying to get some content of him, you know, finishing a training and sweaty and stuff like that. So he was like, I'll get some photos of you. He wasn't training, they were just hanging out. And he's like, I'll grab this water and put this water over your head, and then I'll take some videos. And Joe goes, no, fuck that. He started running around doing sprints.
Yeah.
So he's actually working.
No easy option.
No easy option. Comes back and he goes, I'm not fucking built like that. And then Tony was like,
yeah. That just completely parallels with what I was saying just then. Yeah. He doesn't want anything easy. He wants to earn everything. You know, I know it's a stupid analogy, but tipping a bottle of water on your head to make you look like you've been sweating, it's fucking bullshit, isn't it? Like, it's not sweat. And that's the way he's made up. He hasn't earned the bottle of water to look like sweat. He hasn't earned that. He wants to go for a fucking run and earn the sweat in the photo. You know? He's just wired different.
So good,
He's just wired different.
Before we wrap up, I need to get your thoughts on this next fight. Obviously, every fight you guys take serious. We had a chat about that. As your coach and as your focus, what are you, building towards? What do you hope to see from Jai in this fight?
Again, I have nothing to do with his boxing.
Yep.
You know, that's between him and his dad.
Yep.
So my job, no matter who we fight everyone like they're an animal. You know, we fight everyone the same as we're training for someone like Breeders, that we knew was an animal. And no one is different. So my side of it doesn't change. I just make sure that he's better than what I've had him last time. Because if we don't improve, then we're going to get left behind. So we've got to improve as well all the time. So for me, I'll have him at the best of his ability, physically, mentally. He'll have a full bank, and he'll go and execute whatever plans him and his old man have. And I feel sorry for the guy that they put in front of me. And then we'll tick that box, and then we start again. That house has now been put in the bank, and we start building our next house next time.
How do you, because I know you would be, just from knowing you and like your standards, how do you measure your own performance as his coach?
Critical. But no one would
but I imagine in your head.
All the time. Because I always know that if he doesn't make weight, or he gasses out, you know, in the sixth round or something like that, and he's listened to me. You know, if he's listened to me throughout the camp, that's my responsibility. You know, so that would be my fault, because he puts all his trust into me with his conditioning stuff. So I am critical on myself, and I always see different parts of fights where where we could improve. But if I'm not doing that, then how is he supposed to? What use am I to him? You know. So if I'm not critical on what I do, and I go back and then I go back into now it's the computer, not the books, and do some more studying, because it's evolving all the time. You know, the sports science, the human movement, stuff's evolving all the time, and that's the most exciting part, as we spoke about at the start. With technology, everything changes. You know, everything changes. So if we either grow, or other people will grow and we'll get left behind. That's not the risk that I'm prepared to take with him. You know, I don't want to just keep doing the same thing in case everyone else is growing, and then turn around, and because what worked for me when I played footy 20 years ago you know, I hope works for him and he gets on a world stage and you know, and it doesn't work. So it's up to me. It's up to me to make sure for him that I'm improving as well. But he knows that.
I know, you can see that relationship. Last couple of questions, brother. So, advice for, because there'd be a lot of people who are interested in what you do, you know, and I don't think there's a clear pathway for people to go, oh, I'd love to be, you know, a high-level performance athlete, strength and conditioning coach. There's not like an exact, like, this is how I did it. So if you are speaking to, I guess, anyone who aspires to be someone like yourself and involved in this area, what's some advice you could give them?
It's a tough one because I think when you get to, you know, when you get to a level of the elite level, you don't have to be in the industry for me, but for as long as what I have. But you got to make sure that you do the, you know, you got to have earned it. Like even though I've been doing this now for 29 years, I've trained celebrities overseas, I've trained athletes overseas, I've trained athletes here in Australia, I train house mums. One of my hardest clients is a lady, you know, around about 70 years old. And she's my hardest client because if you see her, she's got muscles and stuff like that, and she's not on the gear, she trains every single day. But for me, you know, you got to go through everything. People will write plans for runners. They've never ran a marathon, you know. They write. You got to have experience. You got to make sure you experience everything, and never think you're one of these people that know everything, because these days you don't, you know. And it's time served. You got to earn it. Don't. I had a kid come that someone sent to me the other day, and he said, "Oh, you know, he's been in the industry 3 years and he's done a sports science degree and stuff." And he said, "Oh, I only want to work with elite athletes." And like, I just said to him, "Mate, you haven't earned the right to do anything yet. You know, like it's just factual. Like, you got to earn the right." Jai's been boxing since he was 8, become world champion when he was like 26. So like, he's nearly 20 years. He's been honing his craft to earn the right to win a world title. Don't just become one and try and be me straight away. Be happy to learn the process along the way and be the best you can till your time comes. And you know, when your time's right and you come across, you know, the elite athlete level. But don't do what everyone does these days and try and look for the easy option and think I'm going to become a personal trainer. And the internet's fucked the fitness industry as well. Well, it has, but with AI will change that. But it, you know, they do their course and then they think they're an expert. You know, you got to.
My gym's like that.
But they're no longevity. They won't last and they won't get results. You know, so to get to where I'm at, I've earned my spot there. You know, through study and through time. And kids have got to realise that they've got to earn it. You know, you got to earn it. You don't just become one because you're on the gear and you Photoshop yourself on social media and you look like you look like you know what you're doing now because
someone's
you don't.
watching that going, fuck, he's talking about me.
Yeah, melting, but it's true. You know, it's true. You know, it's exactly true. You know?
Someone's ears just perked up down in the surface.
Yeah, but they're not insulting those people, but they're
just being factual. That's not going to
just be factual. Just be factual.
Yeah, this generation's very fast. They want everything fast.
No one wants to earn it.
No, they want to earn it.
They just think they
want the
deserve
bottle of
it. If they want a bottle of water, they think they deserve it. They don't want to earn it. You know?
That's funny. Last question, brother, and I'm going to be talking to a lot of like we spoke about, the nuts and bolts behind Jai's team, people who do the behind the scenes and connect and really mean, you know, everything to him. I'm going to ask them all the same questions. So you can go as deep as you want or as simple as you want with your answer. As a person and as someone in your life, how important and what does Jai mean to you?
Oh, look, he's become a huge part of my life. You know, we've been through, you know, so much together in such a short period of time with you know, with his boxing stuff and personal stuff, and it's he's a big part of my life at the moment, and as well as how much I love him, I'll always be proud of what I know I've done to help us get to where he is today. You know, whether it be through those times with the injuries and stuff like that. So he's a special kid. You know, he's a special kid that has got all the attributes that I love in people. He's got heaps of fucking mongrel in him. He, you know, he walks the walk. He doesn't think he's entitled to stuff. He's prepared to work for stuff. Yeah, he's been a fantastic 5 years, and I'm just excited to see where he goes, and hopefully he starts getting the opportunities that he deserves, and he doesn't just get stuffed around for the next 2 or 3 years and then get into his early 30s and before people want to start taking him at his peak. I want to watch him go now, you know. And I want to watch him to go now because he's ready. You know, he's ready.
Well, first time using my flash gear, I had to use it with the brother, Mark Mathie.
I appreciate your time, man.
No, I appreciate coming down.
Sorry it's taken so long.
No. And just for the record, the bros hooked me up with a mean bag that I make the shit out of. Don't think I'll fit it in my car, but we'll figure that out.
Oh, it'll be there for you.
We're going to be doing a bunch of content with the bro in the lead up to this fight and many more. Maybe I'll get in shape and get him to put me through a
There
session.
you go. You come and train with a giant.
Bro. After that little speech there, our normals there, impossible. I'm like, maybe I'll just...
Joe will be on you. He'll be dragging
yeah,
you.
I know he will. Yeah, I'm ready, bro. Just let me get rid of this little ramen gut that I got. Mark, I appreciate
Cheers,
you,
bro.
bro.
Thank you for your
Catch up
time.
more.
Thanks for what you do for boxing.
No, all good.
Cheers.